Welcome to Dalma Mix. In this video I'm going to show you how I decided to display the Seaglass I recently gathered. Seaglass has this wonderful frosty quality, but it's at its most beautiful when it's wet or a light shines right through it. Otherwise they can look quite dull and colorless. You can see how the colors come alive once they are wet. One of the ways to display them is in fact keeping them in water, but then you always have to change the water and make sure that it remains clear and doesn't evaporate. So what I'm going to use instead is use LED lights to make them come alive. I'm going to use this small jar with a cork that I took to the beach with me originally to gather the sea glass, and I'm simply going to use this string of battery operated LED lights. I also gathered shells from the beach and I would like to incorporate them, and this larger shell is just the right size to cover the battery pack. I'm going to attach this plastic round thing to the cork. It's actually just a piece of plastic that used to house some pins, but it's the perfect size for this project and it conveniently already has some holes. But the hole wasn't big enough for me to string the LED light through, so I had to widen one of the holes by chipping away at it a little, and I just threaded the string light through so that I could have access to the on and off button outside of the jar but have the light inside. I also had to bore a hole through the cork itself for the string lights to go through. My glue of choice on this project is hot glue, as it sets fast and it works great on plastic. At this stage I pulled the string lights through the cork and assembled basically the new cap. I wanted the string lights to be inside of the jar, illuminating as many of the sea glass on the outside as possible, bringing out the colors and showing off the beautiful frosty quality as well. So I removed them from the water and I layered them. I'm trying to stack the colored pieces and the clear pieces in a pleasing way so there are not big clumps of the same color all in one place. And this is when I did confirm that my idea was in fact working out and I was getting really happy about it. So I moved on to decorating the lid. I'm still going to use this large seashell right on top of the battery pack, making sure that I do not block the button. I also picked out a handful of small seashells, mostly focusing on texture, and on purpose didn't pick any of the beautiful colored ones. I used the dull colored ones because I'm going to paint this. I didn't want any of the colors to be competing with the beauty of the sea glass in the jar. Instead, I'm going to focus on the intricate textures that the seashells and the fragments have. I really enjoy the slightly broken snail shells because you can see more of that spiral inside. What would be more reminiscent of the sea than sand? So to emulate that, I'm going to sprinkle on a generous layer of fine granite over some hot glue to simulate the sandy beach. This grain is a little bit coarser than regular beach sand, but this will work in my favor in this project, as we will lose the color but retain that beautiful texture, and you will see it will complete the look that I was going for. I made sure to cover every naked part of that plastic disc, as I didn't want any of that to show through. And pressing it into the hot glue actually works really well. Once cool and set, I moved on to painting. I base coated in a nice warm brown. I wanted a neutral color for the lid. As I have mentioned, I did not want it competing with the colors of the Seaglass, and I think black would have been too stark. I prefer the warmer tones. With the base coat dry, I'm going to use these two colors. One of them is a nice neutral tan, and the other one is a warm but dull orange, and I'm going to very lightly dry brush with a fluffy brush. I try to be quite light-handed, only highlighting all of the different textures of the sand and the seashells. I use that warmer color to shift the tone a little bit. After all this time, I still feel like dry brushing is some kind of magic. To seal that in and shift the tone to an even warmer palette, I'm going to use some yellow shellac ink. And I make sure that I saturate especially the sandy parts as much as possible. After leaving it to dry, everything is nice and all the color and the sand grains are going to stay in place. As a final touch, I couldn't help myself. I added a little bit of gold. At this point, it just feels like it rounds out the project for me. At this stage, I realized I wasn't quite happy with how the LED lights were inside, so I decided to redo the stacking and bundle more of those LEDs in a bunch in the middle, as the light will pass through the Seaglass better. And with that, this little project is finished. It's just so wonderful how, when illuminated, the Seaglass comes to life with those beautiful vibrant colors. This feels like really honoring this beautiful material that was formed over years and years, being tossed and churned in the bowels of the sea. There are many ways I'm going to use the Seaglass I've gathered, but this is going to be the bulk of it. I'm going to add it to my trinket shelf, and I think I can even use this as a nightlight sometimes. Now, after the fact, the lid kind of looks like it might have been cast out of metal to me. What do you think? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever gathered Seaglass before? How did you choose to display it? If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I upload a new crafty video every Wednesday. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having a nice day. Bye.